Hello, everyone. You're welcome to today's session on Empower 360 podcast. Here at Empower 360, we give purpose and enlightenment to humanity. My name is Liliefa, and I'll be the host for today. Our guest for today is a very special friend of mine that Yali gave me. He hails from Nigeria. He's an educational researcher and a social statistician. He is dedicated to analytical educational research with a strong academic background from the Federal University. He is in the person of Stephen Akinola. Hello, Stephen. You are welcome to today's session.
Yeah, hello, Liliefa. Thanks for this opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, our topic for today is the welfare of the youth in Africa. First of all, I would like to ask, what is welfare?
Yeah, welfare to a layman means when you take, let me just explain this way. When you take care of people around you, take care of yourself and also the people around you, you make sure they are good, their basic amenities are being met, and it's also being sustained over time. So that is a little bit of what welfare entails. So welfare, or however, welfare goes beyond just taking care, making them feel okay. It extends through generations, making sure they are not just good now, but they are also good, like they are also well taken care of in the future. Thank you.
So, what do you think are the biggest gaps in social welfare services that the youth in Africa face?
There are several. There are many gaps. There's been a lot of identified gaps, but I will just highlight that the youth face in Africa. But I will highlight a few, and then one of them, because we can't say youth, because youth only. If you say the youth, the youth are people between the ages of, let's say, according to normal statistics, people from 15 years to 35. Yeah. So the youth majorly face the gap of even accessing those welfare services, because people that are adults, they are also even collecting, like making sure they are also being part of those welfare system in which they are not supposed to be. They are not all. They are not in those. They are not in the age bracket. So in Africa, we have the problem of people misrepresenting or misreporting or underreporting their ages. So that is one of the major gap. And also, we also have the problem of donor dependency. Yeah, in Africa, we majorly depend on the handouts from countries, developed countries, or world international organizations. So this has really affected us in being able to access, to be able to get the right funding. So get the right funding and tailor towards the youth that are actually in need of these social welfare services. So domestic funding needs to grow more than we collecting money from external organizations or whatever. So we need to make sure that we source for our funds from our local community, and then, because that is more sustainable than we just expecting maybe World Bank or UN or all those other organizations to give us some kind of handouts to better our social welfare system or our economy. So, and also there's also we also have a leadership and a leadership deficit. Let me just put it that way. We don't have leaders that actually have the vision of making sure that Africans, the youth in Africa, are being well taken care of. They only focus on things that are beneficial to themselves only and their family. So we over the last decade, about half of African countries have adopted, although they've adopted some formal social protection strategy and policy, but there are no crucial steps to sustain them and to make them work over time. Yeah, there are no social steps. There are no. There hasn't been a very good coordination in that aspect. I hope a little bit that point can suffice for now.
Yes, but you made mention about generating internal funds. I mean, in countries in Africa. But as it stands now, most countries in Africa are actually developing countries. What are some of the ways and means that can help them generate internal fund to instead of rather depending on these IMF and UN and other international donor organizations?
Yes, that's a very good question. So there are a lot of ways. There are myriads of ways they can generate funds. First of all, they can. Africa is blessed. Yeah, we're blessed with both human and natural resources. So we can tap into our natural resources and use that as a leverage to make sure the youth in Africa are in good position and are in good standing socially. So and also the tax system in Africa has also been improved, has been improving over time. So the tax, what are they doing? What are the government doing with the tax they are collecting from the people, from the workers? What are they doing with it? So those are key questions we need to answer first, because like in Nigeria now, let me not say a lot of there's been a lot of tax reforms, tax revolution, whatever, what have you. But little has been done to help the common youth to make their life better. Although there have been improvements, but there's still more to be done in that aspect. So I mentioned the tax. The tax being generated. Africa is one of the, especially Nigeria, we are one of the most populous country in Africa, and also one of the most popular country in the world. So we shouldn't be saying we shouldn't be having the issue of youth not being taken care of, not being jobless, unemployment here and there, all these conflicts, So, and also to other countries in Africa too, Ghana, South Africa, and all that. Africa is truly blessed. So there's a lot of things. It's just the will. They say if there's a will, there's a way. So I feel there's a lot of things to be done regarding that. We can also do some sort of internal financing. Yeah, internal financing. We have private organizations that can also bring out money. That are well-to-do enough, even personal, individuals that can also support those courses, those social welfare courses. But people just feel like, it's not necessary, or the government is the one to pay all that on their own. So I think I've been able to highlight some major points.
Yes. So what are some of the policies that you think can be put in place that can effectively help the youth in terms of social welfare when it comes to Africa?
Some of the policies that can be put in place, number one, we need to have a kind of reorientation first before we even say we want to put some policies in place. There needs to be some sort of reorientation for the government and also for the people, in the sense that they need to know that it is compulsory, it is vital for youth or people in Africa to be taken care of from what they actually gain, from what they actually earn from the natural resources, from the taxes and all of you. Because Africa is everybody's, it's all our land. If you're in Africa, Africa is your land. So definitely you must benefit from that. So also there should be a strong national policy that is geared towards a corrupt-free social welfare system. Yeah, there should be a kind of formal social protection strategy. So that's a very crucial that's a very crucial step towards making sure that social protection or social welfare system work in Africa. So, and also there should be also the the policy that will entail that the creation of integrated administrative system. Yeah, that means the administrative system for the social protection policy should have some sort of a unified database, to have a unified database in which the vulnerable people, like vulnerable households, some people in Africa are very rich, so you can't say, oh, you're very rich, come and collect so amount of money. It should be like a slap to their face. So we should be able to have a data for people that are from the less privileged background, so that they can be targeted appropriately, and then this will reduce cost, and also will not make for overlapping of now the case of two family or two individual benefiting from like 4 or 5 social welfare system policy. Like now, assuming I am Mr. A now, and I have a grant I just won from World Bank, and I also won a grant from United Nations. I also won from several, and even from my local government, from my local country, the ministries, the NGOs. So I have like 5 grants I'm working on. That is like it's been a silo system. So that is like being duplicating those things. So there should be a unified that if you are going to benefit from one, benefit from one. Not that you benefit from all the 5, all the 6, where there's someone else in the other community or around here that is here to benefit from one and being impoverished. So those are the things we need to look into if we want to make for a better policy. And also there should be the policy should be rather adaptive and shock responsive. The policy should be rather adaptive and shock responsive. So this means that it should not be always that, it is when there's an economic downturn, or it is when there is maybe a conflict, or maybe a climate disaster, or a disaster. That is when we get to say, we need to donate this, we need to the government start bringing relief materials and all that to the people. So it should be adapted and shock responsive in the sense that there should be pre-approved plan, there should be approved plan and financing that the government, so that the government can be able to expand in case of emergency. So having those the database, so and then there's an approved plan, it will enable the government to be able to plan more efficiency and also reach the people that are actually affected fast, and to make for more efficiency rather than always bringing some kind of social policy, social welfare system from the scratch every time. Every time there's a need for it, like there's a need for people that need to get like relief materials from flooding or from drought or from famine. So because there was a flood that happened on a date, so we start trying to bring out some social policy. No, it shouldn't be that way. So we should have a pre-approved plan of financing, and also an adaptive system that is already in place on ground, so that immediately something happens, we can also always nip it in the bud, instead of trying to wait until the thing happens before we take some kind of action. So we should also focus on integrated. As I said earlier, we have the national policy, we also have the integrated data system. That's bringing the database. Also domestic and adaptive design. So we should have a design that is that favors the African community, not just bringing some formats from some European formats or some westernized formats and come and be putting it in place in Africa, because we are African society is different from the westernized society in the way we see social welfare system, the way we assess social welfare system. So I think those are one of the top points for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking at the financial situation in Africa, most of African countries, Do you think what the youth actually needs is social welfare?
Um, I won't say yes and I won't say no. Yeah, the youth need social welfare, and they also do not need social welfare. Looking at the economic situation right now, majority of the youth need social welfare. Yes, majority. I can say that, especially uh, um, in Nigeria. You see rising costs of living. You see unemployment everywhere. You see a lot of um, uh, crime everywhere. So what are the causes? Because they don't have something meaningful to do. They don't have something that is bringing them some money. They don't have things that they are not gainfully employed. One. So uh, having a social welfare system will actually help in bringing a reduction to crime and to unemployment. So, there was a time I was a beneficiary of one of those in Nigeria. So they call it N-Power. So and then they will post us into to different communities, different schools. So it was after we finished after I finished my NYSC. So that is going to be for like 1 year. So we posted to different communities. It might be school, it might be ministry. So you'll be there, you work there, and you collect the minimum wage there. And as at that time, that was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah, thereabouts. So you'll be collecting some kind of stipend. At least it was the minimum wage then, but now it's no more. The minimum wage is more than that now. So as at then, at least it was good for you to be able to to survive, to just go by for the meantime. So it was not as if it was enough, but at least it was better off than doing nothing. Because now I was posted to a ministry, a local government ministry. Then sometimes, because I would just go there, I'll just travel down. Sometimes I'll be at my own position because I was doing my master's. I was enrolled in my master's program. So I told them that I may not be here fully. So they understood, and then so it was a kind of a leverage for me. It was a kind of cushion for me for my finances. So it's a very good one. Yeah. For youth now, because majority are in this bracket. I can say that majority in Africa are in this bracket. If they see something that can be giving them money, they are ready to work. Yeah, but when there is nothing, so they resort into crime, into all sort of crime, online crime, physical crime, stealing, kidnapping, and all sorts. So, but also, social welfare should not be the way as a youth. Social welfare should not be the way a youth should start off his life. Because if you depend on handouts, you may not move forward. You may not go too far. Yes, you may not go too far as a youth, because depending on handouts will make you lazy, make you redundant, make you not want to do any other thing than, after the month, the government is going to give me something, even though I'm not working, even if I'm working, I'm just doing it haphazardly, because you won't be serious with it. So, social welfare social welfare should not be the way forward for a youth. For a youth especially, but maybe for people that are already old, 65 and above and all, they are paying. So definitely, because they don't have the strength to work. But as a youth, you should definitely go out there and explore. You have the strength, you have the energy, you have the skill, you have the knowledge. So definitely go out there and explore and make things out for yourself legally without resorting into crime. So that's just thank you for that.
Yeah, that's very true because one quote I remember from John Kennedy says that if a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. So one way or the other, I mean, people are still struggling one way or the other. So people still do need welfare. Yes, the youth, do they need to depend on welfare? No, but at a point when they need help, I think it should be readily available to help them come out from, I mean, every situation they are facing, so that they can actually have a clearer mind to face the unforeseeable future. So you are right on that. Thank you so much. The last question I would like to ask is that if you could redesign the social welfare systems in your country, what would have been your three most priorities?
That's a very good question. I think I mentioned some of it earlier the other time, but I'll still also need to. I will restate them again. I'll highlight them to you again.
Okay.
So first of all, I'll definitely focus on reorientating the people. So by making sure the agencies that are responsible reorientate the people, the masses, and also the government agencies that are in charge of those social welfare policies. Because even most of them, they say they should give people some kind of funds or aid. They are the ones that are even hijacking them, stealing them, taking them. Corruption is embedded in, I don't know, I won't say in all African system, but there's corruption everywhere. So corruption has to reorientate them and also make them to know that if you do this, if you steal from the poor, you definitely be poor one day too. So that's what they should know. So even as that, we should reorient them on how to make sure that, and also make sure that their system to checks and balance, to make sure that they deliver what we send them to do, what they have been sent to do, they deliver it appropriately. And there is no misappropriation of funds, no embezzlement, no sort of all those that. And then they deliver the services or the services that they have been asked to render. And also they will be well paid. So I don't see the reason why they should say they want to start embezzling money. So, and also there's going to be a strong national policy and framework. So there's the national policy will enable them that, everything is like in place, that they cannot say, they want to try to steal or embezzle. So now, if you do something otherwise, you'll be reprimanded for it. So the national policies everyone will be aware of it, both the government and the masses, that, there's a national policy for people, let's say now, for children that is less than 5 years, or that's children under 5 years. There's a social welfare policy that is for youth that is in school, maybe that's in school, maybe secondary or higher, that cater for their needs. So, and everyone is aware of the benefits, and they are all running in sync with each other, not that they are overlapping. So and there's going to be some integrated data system. That's the third one. There's going to be integrated data system that, you cannot be benefiting from all five. So you desire benefit from one, the one that is most appropriate for you at that time. So at least, and you'll be able to benefit for just, let's say, minimum of 1 to 2 years. Yeah, 1 to 2 years. At least before then, you should be able to get back up. 1 to 2 years should be okay for you, so that others too can benefit. Because we need to, because there's going to be some kind of coverage. Like, we need to cover much people, because with the limited resources we're having in Africa, we need to be able to limited financial resources we have at the disposal. And also, I also mentioned earlier that regarding domestic financing and funding. So our taxes and all that, and the proceeds from revenues of natural resources and some other financial gains we make will also be plowed back into social welfare system, not just used for extravagance lifestyle, or for the government officials to travel here and the land of the country. So that's the fourth one. That's the first one. So it will be domestic financing. So we finance our social welfare system ourselves, so that no organization will tell us, this is what we want you to do. This is what we want you to use these funds for, and for using these funds, we want this. We don't say, we'll be at the mercy of the donor organization. We don't want that. We don't want to be dependent on any external organization, on any external forces. But we want to be independent of ourselves. Depend on our own efforts and our own resources to better our own lives, because no one will do it for us. We are the only one that will make Africa better. No one else will help us to do that. And also, I said also the other time regarding the adaptive design, that the design is being adaptive. We have a ready-made design that is adaptive. It can easily be used whenever needs arise. Not that it is when there's maybe there's a climate situation, or there's a negative economic circumstance, that will start now thinking of, oh, what do we do? How do we get funds? How do we do this? So we will have a adaptive design already on ground, that in case this happens, this is how we're going to attack it. This is how we're going to meet the need. This is how we're going to try to respond to it. So it is adaptive and shock resistant. So nothing will come to us by shock. Oh, we never knew this was going to happen. We never planned for this. So it's going to be adaptive and shock resistant. So those are the major things I'm going to focus on if to bring out some social welfare system, to make sure it's working and it's workable and it's actually beneficial to the masses and also to everyone and to Africa at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final words to the youth in Africa?
Yeah. My final words to the youth in Africa is that we are the future of tomorrow. Well, we are the future leaders, but not only that we are the future leaders, we are also the leaders of today. Not only tomorrow. We should start leading right now. So whatever we are doing, whatever we do, we should make sure we represent ourselves well, our families well, so that we can represent our country well. So, and also, we should, as youth, should never depend on handouts. Should not depend on handouts. Should never depend on handouts. I'm from a rich family. I'm from a that. No. We should learn the tenets of working hard work, hard and smart work. Not only hard work. Yeah, you work hard and then you work smart. So both together, and also the God factor. You depend on God. You pray. So definitely, I think Africa is going to be better, and we are going to go places and going to make Africa great and to stand where it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for this powerful and insightful advice to the youth in Africa, especially. The future actually belongs to us. So, like he said, you represent your country. So, if you represent something very important to you, you know the things to do. You don't have to go about disgracing yourself. You have to be poised so that you can approach the future with great and confidence. Thank you so much for making time with us. I mean, I don't take these things for granted because I know you are busy. It's Sunday, and also, I mean, the time zones and all that, but you still made time to be with us. Thank you so much for your wonderful insight. We really do appreciate. To our audience, thank you so much for making time with us. See you next week, and don't forget, my name is Liliefa, and I was your host for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful time.